and welcome to the third part of the GCompris series. In this video, we have an interview with Francis from KDE and Aiśwarya, a developer and contributor of GCompris.
Welcome, Aish. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. There are parts of India, particularly in Kerala, where open source projects like GCompris have been very successful for a number of complex reasons. As I understand it, the use of GCompris in schools is supported by the government since around 2008. What can you tell us about the take-up of GCompris there?
The reason for which GCompris is there from 2008 is the IT education was included in public education around 2007, or the government decided to include the IT education in the public education. And there was a lot of batting between what we have to teach, how we have to teach. So in that time, there was a lot of influences, or there were a lot of work from free software activists all around the Kerala, or all around Kerala, sorry. And the result was the public education chose free software for all their education tools, not only public education, and there are a lot of stories on the public sector choose free software and only free software and open source project. That I think it's not the best place to talk about all that story, and so
I'll put a link at the bottom, so that people watching this video who are interested can look it up, because it's a very interesting story, in fact, isn't it?
That's true, yeah. So 2008, they started to they decided in the first place to move to free software. So there was a team of trainers, which were mostly developers, free software activists. The trainers were to train the teachers in the first place. They select a few teachers from each part of Kerala and give training. And in the beginning, around 2008 in Kerala, computers were not very common. It's really a tool for the privileged, most privileged, we can say that, or the scientists or universities. They have one or two computers. So they need, in the first place, they need to teach how to use computers. So they needed tools for that. They found GCompris. And there are a few activities, I don't know, maybe you have seen, there are activities to teach how to use a mouse, how to use basic word processors, the things like that. So they made a book, a manual, in the first place, because there was no computer, so they need a hard copy of stuff for the beginning. They made a good manual how to use GCompris and how to learn after, and they give training for first batch of teachers, and then these teachers gave training for other teachers, like that. That's how Kerala started to learn how to use computers.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you see, so it was easy for GCompris to get rooted there, and then since then there's always GCompris in the school textbooks to not only learn how to use GCompris, to start with there is that, how to use computers for 6-year-old kids, and then to learn math, science, or whatever. They have the corresponding GCompris activities in each standard, parallel to their science classes or math classes or all the subjects. And so it is written in the textbooks which activity to choose and play. So that's how GCompris gets started, and since then it's always there.
Oh, that's amazing. So I suppose if you fast forward to more or less now, or not too long ago, by then computers have started to become more prolific. And did people have them in their homes as well?
Upper class and upper middle class, yes, they have computers at their home, but there are big parts in lower middle class and lower class. In this part, not quite, But again, a public education system, education ministry, I think, decided to give computers for the lower, most marginalized people. So for a selected number of students in particularly. So now it's again there. They have at least one laptop. But I cannot say the major part of Kerala, but yes, it's more visible than before. But schools have always computers. That's how kids learn computers. And then universities also have a lot of computers.
Okay. So during the pandemic, was it useful for that? I mean, did it actually become a tool that was helpful during the pandemic when nobody could actually go to school?
Very much. Yeah, very much. Because in the first place, smartphones actually, even computers is not at everyone's hand, but smartphones are everywhere. So, yeah, of course, and the new version of GCompris, the Kyoto version, is also on the telephone, on smartphones. So it was really a blessing for some kids because though they have smartphones, they don't have access to internet. Their parents mostly. And for example, in the mountain region of Kerala, there's not that much network. So they have to go walk 1 hour to get network and have classes. And mostly the kids don't have television. The classes during the pandemic was in the public education channel.
Right.
So it was hard for them. Those kind of kids mostly make use of GCompris to start with.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. But when did you get involved yourself? Because you were personally involved in GCompris in several different ways, weren't you?
My parents are teachers. I was hearing from them that they are using for that, this and that. But in the end, December 2018, I think, Timothée was noticed. He noticed that there was no Malayalam translation in the new version of GCompris, and the old GTK version there was a translation. So that raised lots of questions for me, because so what they are using in the schools. So I was asking my parents, and obviously it was the old version again. So I started with translation for a translation application, and then website, and then voice translation too. And the end of the translations, that's another story also. I was after the first part of the translating the text inside the application. But maybe you already know translations take a lot of time.
I do know. Yes, absolutely.
So I wanted a financial support for my time.
I was going to say, how did you manage to support yourself during all this?
Well, the first part, it was mostly in the free time, and it was fun. But like I said, it took a lot of time, and especially part of, if I want to do the part of recording of the voices and all, it was again also a lot of steps, and first translating the text, and then recording. I think sometimes it's really hard to get the right pronunciation, and so I contacted ICFOS. It's an International Center for Free and Open Source Software. I was working with them in 2016-17. It's an autonomous organization set up by the government of Kerala for the promotion of free software products, and not only promotion, to create and to develop the tools also. So I contacted them to have a financial support, and indeed they were happy to support me. Since 2019, since 2019, I continue to maintain these translations. Yes.
great. But if I remember correctly from previous conversations, that wasn't the only thing you did. You also helped in other ways, didn't you?
Yes, there was a school for kids with cognitive differences, mainly autistic kids. The school was using GCompris in their school to teach all the steps to autistic kids, and maybe you know that there are activities in GCompris where, for example, the letters fall and kids have to type the letter before falling, reaching the ground. These kinds of steps, not all the kids are okay. Not all the kids can do that with the normal speed in GCompris. So these kinds of activities needed a speed control for. So that's how I started to we can say to make it more accessible. So I was doing a bit of development to have these speed controls, and then there was a request from users to have an activity to teach analog electricity. And I'm an electronic engineer by profession, so I thought that it's a good time to
use your skills.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So then, and I authored this activity, and then all my translations and contributions, I wanted the public in Kerala use this stuff more, and I wanted to have feedback. And they were still using the old GCompris in those times, so I couldn't get a lot of feedback apart from my parents. They check in their telephone and then see about the translations or what they think about my voice or the tone I'm saying, the stuff like that. So I was also to make them use the new version. I was discussing with a few people in the public education system to make them notice that see, it was a new cute version that can work on smartphones too, and there's all the translation. It was just before the pandemic. Yeah, and so somehow they noticed, and also the system, the public education system entirely, they decided to move to not only GCompris. There was a lot of stuff needed upgrade, so they upgraded their distribution they are using in schools. So the new cute version GCompris came in that system, and during pandemic also the smartphone. Using GCompris in smartphones was also good. So my mission was successful to have, because of a lot of reasons, because not only because of me, but I could get more feedbacks, more. I could have more discussions with real users.
Well, that's great. And do you still maintain all this today?
Yeah, translations, I try to make the status always 100% in all the major releases of GCompris. But recently, I couldn't update it. Voice translations are a bit lagging behind, and also website translation a bit. But it's not a very big difference. But because of my personal reason, I had a kid, and all, so I couldn't take time for all the steps, but text translations always, I try to make it 100%. And also if there are bytes in analog electricity activity, I try to respond as soon as possible. So yes, we can say that I'm still maintaining these steps.
And you're doing it now. Are you still being supported to do that, or is this now down to your free time again?
Yeah, it's just my free time again.
Yes, you guys are amazing how much you contribute. So how do you keep in touch with what's needed and what's happening there now? I mean, apart from your parents, obviously.
Yeah, and so my family, not only my parents, my sister, my in-laws, all of them are teachers. And yes, so there are a lot of parents near where in the village I was grown up. I have always contact with them. That's one kind of feedback I get. And another stuff is I have a connection with all the free software communities in Kerala. And we have a small group of KDE Networks from Kerala. So they also give me feedbacks when they can. And they also support me for reviewing and all.
Would you say that this is pretty much unique in the world? Or, I mean, there must be other KDE networks working in other parts of the world, are there?
Yes, there is also. In the first place, we were KDE Network India, but India is really huge. And so, we made it just KDE Kerala Network. And there's also KDE Network Assam and KDE Network China and KDE Network Brazil. I don't remember other places, but yeah, there are more. Yes.
I mean, if you think about young people watching this who might want to contribute but not really know where to begin or how they might be able to help, perhaps even in India, is it clear where they could go and how they could help?
India, KDE websites are quite clear, I think, and we see a lot of, for KDE Season of Code, there's a program called KDE Season of Code, and also Google Summer of Code. There are a lot of students, especially from India, a lot of students apply for KDE products, the stuff. So I think it's quite evident. I mean, it's obvious in the KDE websites. There are cool websites.
Great. Gosh, I wish we could have more of this in Europe. But I'm not sure. There is, of course, some. But I think they're mostly using things like Microsoft and things in schools, aren't they? I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think in France it's moving a bit. I feel. I mean, there are more teachers doing videos on GCompris, and
okay,
and that's quite encouraging, I think. And there are more people than me and Timothée in particular, when we travel, when we talk about GCompris, and more people recognize it. Oh, my son used that. And,
oh, that's great.
And there was a math teacher who was also saying, yeah, I will, and I am.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Aish, for talking to me today. It's been really interesting. I'm fascinated to hear about it. I'm especially interested to have discovered so much about Kerala, which is so different, it seems, from other parts of India.
Yeah,
I hope that people interested to find out how and why will look at the links and wonder about whether or not they might be able to do something like that in the areas where they live. You never know.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Thank you to you, and please continue to give time and voice for these kinds of cool software. Okay.